The dark corridors of the collision outpost were eerily silent, broken only by the faint hum of the life support systems. I moved cautiously, my boots barely making a sound on the metallic floor. My mission was simple: retrieve the stolen data crystal containing sensitive Earth intelligence and get out before anyone noticed. But things were rarely that simple. Standing in my path was Rhyssa, an alien operative from the Kelysian Dominion. She'd been tracking me since I arrived, her piercing silver eyes locked onto mine whenever we crossed paths. Rhyssa was a formidable adversary, a skilled warrior with an uncanny ability to predict her opponent's moves. She was also the last person I wanted to see right now. "Nathan Carter," she said, her voice calm but laced with tension. "You shouldn't be here." "Neither should you," I replied, keeping my hand near the sidearm holstered at my hip. "But here we are." Her gaze flickered to the pouch at my side, where the stolen data crystal was safely secured. "You've come for the crystal. Do you know what's on it?" "Enough to know I can't let it stay in Kelysian hands," I said. She stepped closer, her lithe form almost blending into the shadows. "If you take it, you'll make yourself a target. The Dominion doesn't forgive or forget, Nathan. I'll take my chances." Her expression softened, and for the first time, I saw something other than cold determination in her eyes. "You don't understand. If you leave with that crystal, everything will change." Rhyssa and I had a complicated history. We'd first met during a diplomatic summit on Eridani 6, where tensions between Earth and the Kelysian Dominion were at an all-time high. Despite our opposing allegiances, we'd found common ground in our shared disdain for bureaucracy and our fascination with the stars. Over time, that common ground had grown into something neither of us had expected. Quiet conversations turned into stolen moments, and before long, we were both treading dangerous territory. For a human and a collision to be anything more than adversaries was unthinkable. Yet, here we were. "Rhyssa," I said cautiously, lowering my weapon slightly. "Why are you here? You're not trying to stop me." She hesitated, her silver eyes darting to the shadows as if expecting someone to emerge. "I was sent to retrieve the crystal," she admitted. "But I can't do it." "What do you mean, you can't?" I asked, my heart pounding. Her voice trembled slightly. "Because the reason I betrayed my mission is you, human." The words hit me like a shockwave. I stared at her, trying to process what she'd just said. "Betrayed? Rhyssa, what are you talking about?" She took a deep breath, stepping closer until there was barely a foot of space between us. "I was ordered to intercept you, to recover the crystal and eliminate you if necessary. But I couldn't do it. Not after everything." "Rhyssa," I began, but she cut me off. "Do you know what it's like to be torn between duty and something you can't explain?" she asked, her voice cracking. "I've spent my life serving the Dominion, believing in its ideals. But then I met you, and everything changed." For a moment, the tension in the corridor dissolved, replaced by a heavy silence. I lowered my weapon completely, my mind racing. Rhyssa had always been the picture of loyalty to her people, a consummate professional. To hear her admit that she'd chosen me over her mission was staggering. "You're putting yourself at risk," I said finally. "If they find out." "They already suspect," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "But I don't care. Not anymore." I reached out, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Rhyssa, you don't have to do this. We can find another way." "There is no other way," she said, her eyes meeting mine. "But if helping you means losing everything, then so be it." We didn't have time to dwell on the implications. The sound of approaching footsteps echoed down the corridor, and Ryssa's demeanor shifted instantly. She pulled me into an alcove, her voice low and urgent. "You need to go," she said. "Take the crystal and get out of here. I'll cover for you." "I'm not leaving you behind," I said firmly. You don't have a choice, she replied, her tone leaving no room for argument. If we're both caught, it's over. Rhyssa. Please, she said, her voice softening. If you care about me, you'll go. I'll find you when it's safe. Reluctantly, I nodded. Be careful. She managed a faint smile. I always am. I made my way through the outpost, evading patrols and security drones until I reached the docking bay. My heart was heavy as I boarded my ship, the stolen crystal feeling like a lead weight in my pocket. As the engines roared to life and I lifted off, I couldn't shake the image of Rhyssa standing in the shadows, risking everything for me. Weeks passed with no word from her. I filed my mission report, careful to omit any mention of her involvement. But the silence was unbearable. I found myself constantly looking over my shoulder, half expecting a Dominion ship to appear and demand answers. Then, one night, a secure transmission came through on my personal comms. It was Rhyssa. Her image flickered to life, her silver eyes filled with relief. Nathan. You made it. Rhyssa, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Are you safe? For now, she replied. But I can't stay here. The Dominion is watching me too closely. Come with me, I said without hesitation. We can figure this out together. She hesitated, her gaze searching mine through the screen. You'd risk that. I'd risk anything for you, I said. For the first time, her composure cracked, and a tear rolled down her cheek. Then I'll find a way. No matter what it takes. As the transmission ended, I knew the road ahead would be fraught with danger. But for Rhyssa, and for the bond we'd forged against all odds, it was a road I was willing to walk. Together, we would face whatever came next.